Growing up, I was a die-hard romantic. I believed in love at first sight, other halves, soulmates, and all that sappy jazz. At 14, I even had a list of my ideal qualities for the perfect guy. I always wondered who he would be. Then, I met him. Or so I thought. He went to school with my cousin, who lived 4 hours away, and we met when she and I were working a summer job together. He was 16 and a linebacker for his school. He was so incredibly attractive, funny, smart, and driven. Everything I was looking for. He also had ambitions of joining the Marines after high school. And, according to him, I was one of the 2 people who never tried to talk him out of it. We became friends really fast, and soon started telling each other everything. I was scared to tell him how I felt, even though he kept asking me why I cared so much. I just couldn't stop myself. I wanted to know everything about him, and anytime he called me beautiful, my head got fuzzy and I felt like I was on cloud 9. One day, he confessed that he fell in love with me. I was so ecstatic, and I confessed my love for him as well. But, unfortunately, that didn't last long. That joy was quickly overshadowed by the distance between us. I just didn't care. I wanted him to be my boyfriend. Despite my boundless love for him, he told me that he wouldn't want to do that to me. He was afraid that since we lived so far apart, it would have prevented us from being intimate and that he wouldn't be able to remain faithful to me. He knew that would shatter me. It wasn't what I was hoping for, but alright, fine. We'll just remain best friends. Sure enough, shortly after, he got a girlfriend. Whenever they had trouble, he would confide in me. It hurt me, but I wanted him to find happiness, even if that meant he would be with someone else. It's fine. I helped him. They would then hit a patch they couldn't work through and ended their relationship. Once he was single again, things would spice up between us again, only to be reminded that we couldn't actually be together because of geography. Fine, I'll just have to find someone else. I looked a lot. I looked everywhere. I looked in places I shouldn't have ever looked into, but no one seemed to hold a candle to him. I could never get past how much I still loved him. This cycle repeated itself several times over the years. He gets a girlfriend, they have problems, I give advice, they break up. The weird non-relationship that we had would heat up. We'd remind each other that it wouldn't work, and so on. Fast forward. I'm 18 now and he's 21. He's been with the same girl for about 2 years now and they decide to move in together. That's great! I'm so glad he's finally found someone, even if it's not with me. But she decides that she wants to meet me, and that's understandable. He has quite the history with women and he talks to me, a woman, every day. The 3 of us decide to go to the zoo together. I remember when I saw him and gave him a hug that day. It felt so good to finally be in his arms after so many years. And then I remember who else was with us, and I just let him go. I turned around and gave her a small hug as well, and we all went to enjoy the zoo together. By the end of the day, she said she could honestly trust me. She told me that she knew I would never threaten their relationship, and I confirmed to her that I wouldn't. Fast forward another year, I go visit them and spend the weekend at their place. His girlfriend had to run a few errands and left us to prepare dinner for a couple of hours. She knew we would be fine and that she could trust me to be alone with her man. While he and I were working on things, we were really enjoying ourselves. We joked around, laughed a lot, we were just being goofs. I put a dish in the sink and turned back to face him. Suddenly, he was much closer to me. Our eyes locked. An intense magnetic force demanded I take him right then and there, but my stubbornness prevented me from moving. In fact, I knew I would do something stupid if I kept looking at him, so I looked down. Why couldn't I move? Why couldn't I say anything? I was so extremely conflicted. I wanted him so bad. For 5 years now, he was the only person I wanted. But he wasn't mine. Then, he tilted my head up. I closed my eyes, trying to keep myself in check, trying to keep myself strong. Then I felt his lips as he kissed me. I simply sunk into it and lost any ability to hold myself back anymore. Our arms flung around each other. We wanted more of each other. All of each other. We fell back against the cabinet, and the clank of plates brought me back to reality. This was not right. I pushed him off and told him we shouldn't. He says that nothing else had ever felt so right before. I told him that just because something feels right doesn't mean it is right. So we stopped. It was the hardest thing I had ever done, and I knew I didn't have the willpower to do it again. After that, things continued going on as they always had. A tangible tension, but never doing anything about it. I started to realize how this friendship was compromising my morals that I thought I was so good at keeping. So I decided I was going to end our friendship. But on the phone call where I wanted to have that conversation, I was interrupted by his girlfriend. They announced that they were pregnant. Yay! And they wanted me to be an honorary aunt. Yay! How do I have this conversation now? How do I say that he is not a positive influence in my life, despite that I was still desperately in love with him? So I kept my mouth shut. I acted as if nothing was wrong, and I was overjoyed for them. I don't think I've ever felt so trapped. Through the pregnancy, they fought. A lot. Of course, he confided in me. I didn't know how to help him this time around. Eventually, I went to visit them again. On this trip, we all decided to do some drinking before bed. She went to bed early, of course, since she was pregnant and couldn't drink. He and I stayed in the kitchen, telling stories and taking tequila shots. This went on for a couple hours. We were both feeling pretty good when he put his hand on my leg. I smiled. I knew what he wanted. I really wanted it too. So I responded with putting my hands on him. Before long, we had our hands all over each other. Nothing could hold me back this time. We moved so well together. I wanted and needed him. He wanted and needed me. Right there. I bit my lip to keep myself quiet. I didn't want to wake her. I had waited 7 years to be with him. I loved him more than air. I deserved this. I had more of a right to him than she ever would. At least, that's what I thought. After that first incident, we wanted more and more of each other. We couldn't get enough. I even made a couple day trips out to see him so we could spend more time in bed. Their bed. I finally had him. Right? It didn't hit me until a buddy of ours, who knew everything that was going on, referred to me as the mistress. What? No! I would never! I tried to defend myself, but there was nothing I could defend myself with. It hurt when I realized exactly what I had become and how I had thrown my morals out of the window. And for what? Some guy that once said he loved me? Some guy who was charming and good in bed? Yes, that's exactly what I had done. I had no right to him, but I still loved him. I couldn't give him up. Not yet. But I ended the affair. It wasn't long before I dug back into my education, work, and other hobbies. Soon my time for him was extremely limited, but he would demand more and more time that I just couldn't give. He would make me feel guilty for not calling or texting him more frequently. It made me want to contact him even less. So I would speak to him less. I expanded my friend group and learned more about myself. I wanted freedom. Freedom from unrequited love. Freedom from draining relationships. Freedom to love a man openly. Freedom from obligations I had placed on myself. And as much as it hurts, so bad that I spent many nights crying on my knees and begging God to make the pain stop, I wanted freedom from him. Then it came time for his daughter's second birthday. I got the invite via social media, and I never wanted to not go to an event more than that day in my life. So, I didn't. He blew up on me. I didn't care anymore, and I ended the friendship right there. I didn't even cry when it happened. I had felt so much pain over a total of 9 years that I simply didn't feel it anymore. At least, not in that moment. It's been a few months since I ended things completely. I've achieved things he never thought I could do on my own. I haven't heard from him, but I hope he's doing better. I hope he can forgive me for making such a rash and quick decision. It was for my betterment, and I'm sorry for any pain it caused him. I'm in such a better place now.